Hey YouTube, it's Matt with Reptiles. We have another business video for you, and this one is so good I had to make notes. Now these are just for me, so I'm gonna wave them around so you don't get a chance to read them. But here's an up close. Nope, sorry, no notes for you guys. That's for me, so don't forget what I'm talking about once we're done with this. So because this video is really, it's about the business aspect of, well, honestly, it's me admitting my shortcomings, which are many. I'm only going to admit to a few of them now. I ain't going to get into all of them. My God, there's a ton of them, which is something that I think a lot of people would not do on social media. They would not admit to what they did wrong. I know a lot of people who, when they get in front of a camera, everything they do is been magic and turned to gold. Let me tell you, that's a bunch of bullshit. Everybody makes mistakes, myself included. So I'm going to list off a bunch of things that I would have done different and tell you how I would do them different today if I got the chance to go back and redo them. So yeah, this is my I F this up tour. When we're done, we're going to slide over to Patreon. So make sure and like and subscribe because you get to see me make a little fun of myself today. And then we're going to go over to Patreon and you're going to hear somebody else share a story about something that they probably wish they could have done different and how it worked and how devastating that can be to what they're doing. Now they're going to be fine long term. But with that, they're going to, some of this is so you don't do the same things, right? So you can learn from our scripts and you can make your own scripts that then I can learn from. That's the goal here. And for those of you, and you know who you are, who have never, ever, ever made a mistake, well, I guess we should all just get on there and kiss the ground you walk upon like the great saint and gods that you at least are in your own head. But first of all, what is the first thing I would do different? If I could go back and start all over, right? I think I would plan to breed from the start. And what I mean is I didn't do that. When I first got into this, and that's not really a major mistake, I just didn't know I was going to breed. I got a snake, his name was Kronos, and then I wanted this zebra bee ball python. I wasn't going to pay the money, so I got a regular xanthic ball python. I ended up with a bumblebee too, and they all were, males. And then I got this idea of, hey, I want to breed snakes. Well, had I gone into it saying, hey, I'm going to breed snakes, my initial decisions might have been different. My initial equipment decisions might have been different. And my thought process might have been different. But I didn't, right? I went in thinking these are pets and this is something I want to do for a hobby, for fun. And it was the keeping part of the hobby, not the breeding part of the hobby. And those are two separate things. They're two separate people that do that. A lot of people may move from keeping to breeding, which is what I did. But I wish I would have started there. Can't go back and change that. It didn't hurt me that bad, but it may have let me see some opportunities or think differently from the beginning. With that, then I would change my plans for breeding in the beginning, specifically my male to female ratio. Man, you've heard me harp on it. I've harped on it 100 times. And the reason I harp on it all the time is because, dude, I was really guilty of it. Like, we would go there and you'd go to a show and you'd see the snake that you wanted, and yeah, man, it'd work, and you'd talk yourself into it. Then you turn around, you look, and I've got 6 dudes and like 2 chicks. And like, that's not the kind of party I want to attend. I don't know why I thought my snakes would want to attend that. That ratio is all wrong. I want more of a 2 to 6 ratio, right? 1 to 3 is a ratio I personally like in my collection. You can be a little off. I mean, we're still not exactly 1 to 3, but you definitely don't want to be 3 males to 1 female. We were easily early on. So then you're behind the 8 ball, right? Now I'm having to pick up more females, which take longer to get ready. Early on in my buying collection, I'll be honest, I had those 2 males that I started with because I wasn't planning on breeding. I shouldn't have bought another male for over 24 months. I should have bought nothing but females for 2 years and then got males. The reason for that, it takes me a year to get a male ready, it takes me 3 years to get a female ready. Then I would have been ready at the same time and I would have been able to plan my males better. I didn't do that. Learn from me. Get your females first, y'all. Keep that ratio. Don't fall in love with that super badass male that you're going to overpay for, because guess what? You ain't going to use him for 3 years and you could have bought him cheaper 2 years from now. Hold off. Get your girls. Buy the male later. Male to female ratio is so important, especially early on, because you only have so many shots at making snakes. Why are you spending your money on males? Again, my mistake. Learn from me on that. Another thing is, I honestly wish we would have started rats earlier. If you're not breeding rats and you're still buying your rats and you have a good number of snakes, I want you to sit down, be honest with yourself, and do the math. And you can tell me, oh, I'm buying them from Rodent Pro, or I'm buying them from, this dude I know down the street. That's great, but do the math of how much you're actually spending, and then how much you're going to spend in a year's time, and then how much you're going to spend next year as your collection grows, and see at what point in time it makes sense to get into breeding rats. We got in, I want to say we probably had, I don't know, 20 or 25 snakes maybe when we started breeding rats. I honestly wish we would have started it when we had 10. Maybe on a lower level, not crazy yet, small, we wouldn't have had to breed as many, but I wish we'd have skipped the entire frozen rat stage I went through. I went through a stage of going to the store, buying live rodents. Then I went through a stage of buying frozen rodents in bulk. And then I went to a stage of breeding my own rodents. Well, I went to a stage of Kurt breeding my rodents. Let's be honest here. That's yucky. I don't like rats. I like them for snakes. But why did I have that middle ground? Why was I ordering boxes full of frozen? Why am I scrambling around trying to find something to order with to make the shipping costs partial, or making trips 2 hours away so I could pay online prices and pick up at a show? Why was I doing that when I could have been breeding them for a lot less cost and then supplying the people who I was picking up, like sharing a box with anyway, and not have paid anything, which would have been money I could have put into my snakes? Start your rat breeding earlier. That is a big thing. I wish we could go back and do that differently. Another thing I want to talk about, and oh man, this is one where it wasn't an early mistake. I was several years into my career, so I've moved my snake collection twice in the time that I've been doing this. And I owned a house in a little town, and I had my snake collection upstairs in a little bedroom, right? Wasn't a whole lot of them. Me and my snakes, we were really happy there. It was a cool little place. Then I bought the house I live in now, and I moved my snakes, right? So when I bought the house, I prepped a room. I knew where I was going to stick them. I moved them all in one day. It's a horrible pain in the butt. In these tubs, labels, etc., etc. Got them all moved, no problem, did fine. Would not change how I did that. Worked great. Then I moved my collection after it grew a lot to the facility it's currently in. For those of you that don't know about this facility, if you're new to the channel, this is a house right by my house. So we had an opportunity to get this house. We had an opportunity to get it at a really, really reasonable rate. We jumped on that opportunity. It does a couple things. One, it gave me more room where I could breed my snakes right here, have all the room I needed, get as big. Excuse me, a little bit of touch of the COVID there. Not really. I don't have COVID. Well, maybe I do. Who cares? I mean, if I'm dead in a month, it probably was me making fun of COVID. See, it's trying to get me. So anyway, we were going to have to move our facility here. So then I sat down, and I honestly, guys, I overthought it. I got too smart for my own britches. If you ever made a decision where you're overthinking, you're just too damn smart, you got it figured out, you know what you're doing, and you think you got it, that was me, I was wrong. And my thought process was this, you know what, I'm going to move over a few, right? Just a few snakes. And then as the females lay eggs, and then I'll move them over like one at a time. Because my fear was moving them during season and having them not produce because of the stress, which could have happened. I could have lost some eggs that way. But what did happen is moving so slowly over time, it made my work suck because I was working in 2 different places. I was working in my reptile room in my house, and I was working over here. So I'm having to split myself and split my time, and it's just not, it wasn't really conducive to doing good work. There was that. The other thing that happened is instead of putting all these space heaters in this room that I had at once, right, and turning it on and getting things set and then working it, that didn't happen. I'd move a rack. Then I'd add another rack, and then the temperatures would be all off in the room on ambient. Then I'd add another rack, and as we slowly did this transition over a span of time of 5 or 6 months, it was a lot of work. It doubled my work area, and it also, I think, threw more snakes off than it helped coming into the next year. And it stunted our growth a little bit because I overthought that. If I could go back, I would just say, okay, this is the date. I'd get 3 or 4 dudes here and a case of beer, and we'd just get it done. And then if I had a few reabsorb, cost of doing business, because I'd have been better set going into the next year than I would have been the way I did it. So that was something I had to kind of live and learn. if I move facilities, that'd be the thing. I would do it like a Band-Aid, rip it off and get it done. I would not try to do it in stages again. Now, if I have a lot of stuff, it may take me a weekend, but not over 5 months. There's no reason to do it. That was wrong. I lived and I learned. The other one I've got has also referenced this area is facility planning. And so in my house, of course, you know, it did pretty good. It was a basement room. My first house, how that did good, I don't know. It was upstairs in a drafty old farmhouse. It's amazing that that was successful. Here is a very strange house that this is in. We are in kind of a basement, and it's really kind of not. I don't know if Kurt can show this wall over here. You'll see where there's that ledge. So anything above that ledge where that power strip is under, or above that ledge is above ground, below that ledge is underground. And then there's another one running here. So this is partially underground, but the land is like this, and the house obviously isn't like that, so we're not all underground. There's actually a level beneath me of this house that is fully underground, but the floor is like this, so it's just a storage area. So we don't have a concrete floor underneath us. We do have another floor above us. We are in that area. With that, we have this rock wall over here too. That rock wall allows a lot of air in and out. We have this massive window behind Kurt and a window over there. They allowed a lot of air in and out. There's another window in that room, that's my display room, that is horrible because these are windows that are crammed into a rock house that's basically rock and cedar, I guess you'd call it, they're like 8x8 posts that are used to make it, or 12x12s, or these huge cedar timbers. That's the structure. All that shifts over time, leaks air, leaks gaps. And I didn't plan for that very well. I didn't come through and I didn't know enough about having my own facility yet to see that and say, okay, that's an issue, this is an issue, this is an issue. And for the first long time, we fought temps. You know, it would get too warm in here. It would get too cool in here. It would get too warm in that. I mean, so it's been a very long road in figuring out a way to try to keep the temps consistent. And to some extent, I'm still fighting it a little bit, but we're so much farther down the road now than we were. That's why the windows are covered in R13 insulation and basically covered up and gone in this room and in that room. That's also why I went through and caulked all the seals in places in that room. That's why this door, which is closed now for filming, remains open because the air return is in here. That's also why the air conditioning system is set to run in interval no matter what on fan level to pull air from here and mix it upstairs to keep it more consistent, so it's not just building heat down here and kicking on for heat up there and getting too hot down here. It's how we're keeping our incubator temperatures more correct. It's how we're keeping a lot of things more correct. I've had to fight because I just didn't have the experience to see what I was getting into. And this is not a facility designed for reptiles. We didn't have somebody come in and build me a reptile house. Like, we're taking a place designed for human beings to live in and converting it to a reptile place. We probably saved, 100 grand doing that at least. But hey, you know, there's been some learning along the way. So if I could go back and redo the reptile house, I guess, would I still buy this? Hell yeah. Like, hell yeah. Like, from multiple areas, this is probably one of the best financial decisions I've ever made in my life, was buying this house. It's a house. You know how well houses sell? I can't possibly lose, y'all. It's a house. Like, I'm golden on it. It's a house with a damn big pool and a lake. We're fine. Like, best decision on that we could possibly make. However, I would do some things differently. I don't regret buying it. It's the right decision. I feel like I got something hanging out my nose. Hopefully I don't on camera. That'd be really embarrassing. Don't zoom in on that. I'm gonna talk like this. But I would definitely try to plan the layout better, plan for the drafts better, plan to get the room ready better, instead of doing it on the fly. I would move it all at once. It's two of my biggest things that I regret, or I would do different. The last one that I would do differently, and this is a big one for those of you starting out. Again, this is something I didn't do that I would just change. And that is, I would probably go a little more high-end earlier than I did. Now, it's not talking crazy. Like, you know, we're not changing our tune where I'm telling you to go out and buy some $20,000 mail and I'm promising you're going to return, because you may not. But I would probably have bought some more expensive males early on. Probably I don't want to talk about how much I would spend on it, because that money to today's money is it's just different money, right? But something, instead of buying a single gene or a two gene that are two really common genes like a bumblebee, maybe I would have went and bought something that is like 3 or 4 genes and had a gene that was on the more expensive side in it at the time, say your Orange Dreams. Or maybe, trying to think of another good example of a morph at the time, maybe gotten a GHI a little, or like a nice GHI combo male to start when those were going for then $600-700 for a single gene. I might have done some more things like that just to give me a better mix in my first few clutches of things to sell with that, like we kind of like to talk about, some very basic things to sell, some nice medium things to sell, and a few on the high end to sell. So I go to a show, I have all that laid out. I've also got some different eye candy that a lot of people have. I probably would have done that a little quicker than I did and made that investment a little earlier. There was reasons why I didn't, partly because, well, at the time, I'll be honest, rubbing 2 nickels together was an expensive date. But if you've ever been through a divorce, you all know what I'm talking about. However, I would go that route. So just to kind of run a quick refresher before we go to Patreon overview, I would go a little bit higher into my males sooner. I would plan my facility better and recognize what's going to cause me problems a little quicker than I did. I would move shit all at once, for the love of God. Never let me move in stages again. I would start my rats earlier, and I would also plan my male-female ratio better, and I'd also plan to breed from the start. There's 6 things I did wrong, or I would do different. They aren't all wrong, but I would do them different today. Learn from those, go forth, do better than me. In the comments, take a moment, write something that you'd do different if you've been out this while. Write something that you can share with people. You say, man, I did it this way, and if I could go back and change it today, this is what I would do. Share, it's how we grow, it's how we get better, it's how we learn from each other. Kurt, anything you want to add?
No.
Nothing at all? No. What would you do different, Kurt?
I'm
going to make him add something. Mean.
I don't know. Try to breed rats at my house more.
So Kurt said try to breed rats at his house more than other places where we have bred rats, whether it's reptile shops, archery shops, other shops. Rather be closer to them. And it is, that's something else too. I'll tell you guys really quick that I think we did. Well, that's a different video, but I'll give you a teaser. We're going to do a video about what we did right. Here's a little teaser of that because I haven't made my notes yet. As a matter of fact, you can look, it says wouldn't change. I haven't written anything. That's coming later. It's really nice having your facility really close to you. I can come over here and check on it, no problem. If I get home late at night, I'm like, man, I got to go check on something. It's easy to come still do. It's not like I'm driving 20 minutes to my place and then 20 minutes back or fighting a traffic light. Hell, the weather's nice and I feel like I can walk. Oh, it's on a hill. Oh, that's one reason I don't walk. I have to walk up this nasty ass hill. But it is really nice being very close to where you work. All right, guys, thank you for watching. We're going to go over to Patreon, share a story, and we will catch you all next time.